Now that it's been moving, one of the things that I've been closely watching has been the order books and the inflows. And something that we've talked about is this market cap multiplier is the term that I use. And basically what we've observed is the market cap multiplier on XRP is anywhere from 50 to 200x on the way up. And I've seen it interacted even more dramatic on the way down, where the multiplier has been 500 or 900x. And what that means is if $1 billion is coming into XRP through the order books, that the market cap is going to grow by 50 billion. So it's not a one-to-one ratio. And there's miscommunication, misunderstanding really of how this works, because people are locked into that traditional mindset of market cap to value stocks versus trying to value this technology and this network, and understanding that these assets are actually much more illiquid than the stock market is. And so they move much more dramatically. But to this point, you know, folks think it's crazy to talk about these high numbers. Like even talking about $30 XRP, people say I should be shut down. Well, let's look at the math. I did the numbers, and if JP Morgan's prediction, and don't come at me, you know, bring it up with JP Morgan, they predict 4 to 8 billion of inflows into XRP ETFs year one. Now I ran with the 200x multiplier on that. It brings us to a market cap growth of 1.7 trillion. That's trillion with a T. And if XRP is at a market cap of a couple hundred billion at the time, you know, you're running up towards a 2 trillion market cap. It's a $30 XRP with the 58 billion circulating supply that we just hit. So it's going to take way less inflows to get us to these astronomical far off market caps than what people have traditionally been thinking. When I started to go through this exercise and follow these numbers, I got way more bullish because I realized, wow, it's going to be way easier to get to these high price targets than I'd previously thought. And so people will call us crazy for talking about $30 XRP, $100 XRP, $1,000 XRP, because they're doing the market cap calculation. And they're saying, well, Zach, that's 50 trillion market cap. That's bigger than all the stocks combined. And you say, well, yes, this is solving a problem that's quite frankly bigger than all the stocks combined, potentially. And to your point, if we just get slivers, little pieces of this action on Swift derivatives, and we could easily see XRP go to these prices. You combine that with the inflows on the ETFs, et cetera, it's going to be a lot easier to go to these higher prices than people are thinking.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of your favorite crypto news related channel. And today is going to be a very exciting episode, not just because of that initial clip, but because of all the exciting updates that we're going to provide for you guys today. Now, we did get this big news out of Bloomberg yesterday. James Seyffert, the Bloomberg ETF analyst, put out an update that stated there is over 155 to be exact, crypto exchange trade ETPs filings for 35 different digital assets, which could easily end up being over 200 in the next 12 months. But that's not the exciting part of that data. XRP currently ranks third on the crypto ETF filings list with 20 different crypto ETF filings sitting at the SEC and waiting for approval. Now, what gets me really excited about this is because obviously all throughout this week, we've been discussing how there's other inflows that are being turned on, whether it's a treasury system, whether it's the tokenization of real world assets, whether it's the issuance of the RLUSD stablecoin. All of these different narratives are going to be driving more and more liquidity into our project here in XRP. And I'm anticipating that this altcoin market should get explosive by the end of the year. Now, I'm seeing a lot of retail investors also claiming we are heading into a bear market. I am seeing something completely different. When I'm looking at the sentiment and where the market is today, show me the chart. I'll tell you the news. When the government comes back and these ETFs are approved, we are going to see billions of dollars worth of inflows turned on for XRP. And let's just focus on XRP for the time being. Whether it's the $1 billion worth of new capital that is going to be purchasing XRP off exchanges, or it's these ETFs that are going to have to go through that same process of accumulating XRP to offer it to their clients. JP Morgan themselves had predicted this very high $8 billion worth of inflows just for the project XRP. And if we even see a 50x multiplier, we are talking about north of a $400 billion increase in market cap, leading me to believe XRP is just getting started. I currently believe this is an undervalued project here in 2025, and the regular retail investor disagrees with me right now. That's what makes me so confident. But even if we just focus on some of the short-term data, if we look at the poly market odds for XRP, this is a primary example of how sentiment is insanely low among the XRP community. The odds of XRP hitting $4 or above in the calendar year of 2025 have fallen to just 20% on poly markets here. Now, the odds for $5 or above, that's as low as 11% currently. I'm not saying this is money to be made, but once again, I told you guys, I believe these ETFs will create massive inflows for XRP, and all of us are here before that very moment. But we already have 1,500 live listeners here, guys, over 800 watching on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. You're going to get 2 updates, one at 11 a.m., another at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time every single day on the Good Evening Crypto channel. But live chat, I'm going to turn to you for a quick question here. One's in chat if you believe XRP reaches above $4 in 2025. Two's in chat if you think we stay below that $4 price target here. But as for where we are this morning, the market is experiencing some bearish price action. Bitcoin is going through a minute correction here, down about 4% in the past 24 hours, currently trading just under $108,000. We also have Ethereum trading at 3,800, BNB trading at about 1,075, and XRP trading at about $2.38. Now, I saw an update from Jim Cramer this morning. I didn't pull it up before the show, where he said crypto is due for a push. My comment was, and just like that, the streets were covered in red. And so the bearish sentiment that we're witnessing today, once again, it's completely different from what's going on in our live chat. And I want to give a huge shout out to every single person who shows up to this program and listens on a daily basis. A lot of people, even Warrior Ale, shout out to Warrior Ale out there. We appreciate you, my friend. He doesn't think we're reaching $4. A lot of people do. Ollie also says we don't think we get there. I love those contrarian opinions because regardless, guys, we're waiting on the catalyst to introduce the price action. So first, we got to see the ETFs. We need to see the Clarity Act. We need to see Evernorth go public and start buying this $1 billion worth of XRP. That will create the inflows that we've been predicting, and that will create that underlying demand that we've all kind of been waiting on here. Someone asked for Jim Cramer to get on the show. Listen, I always say I want to be optimistic and realistic. I'm not sure Jim Cramer is either of those characteristics, but if you're excited, be sure to smash that like button. It does greatly help out the program. I'm also going to be breaking down some new Nasdaq updates that we have for you guys. Not only is the Evernorth filing a major signal for the industry, but we got some big news out of Charles Schwab CEO. Now, here's what he had to say. It's a topic of high engagement when talking about crypto. Charles Schwab clients currently own 20% of all crypto exchange traded products. Well, the visits to the Schwab crypto site are up 90% over the year. Schwab operates as one of the largest brokerages in the United States. And finally, they are excited about the evolution of digital assets. Here's their CEO.
In crypto, we do offer crypto ETFs, Bitcoin futures, closed-end funds. In fact, our clients own 20% of all the crypto exchange-traded products in our country. So they've been very active. We've seen visits to our crypto site go up 90% in the last year. It's a topic that's of high engagement. In crypto, we do offer crypto.
And there you have it, guys. And this is part of that big prediction that I've been highlighting for a lot of you. If you haven't been through a bull market before, if you haven't gone through these euphoric moments where XRP back in 2021 went from 17 cents to $1.90 with no positive news, no narratives driving that price action. We had Bitcoin going from about $3,500 during the COVID crash to north of $69,000 just a year and a half later. That is the type of parabolic momentum that we are yet to experience here in 2025. Now, a lot of people will highlight the bullish momentum that we had last November, and we can see that very clearly on the price chart. But once again, what we are waiting for is these inflows. And when these inflows are officially turned on here, meaning we're not just looking at narratives and we're not just talking about things we believe will happen, we're looking at the catalyst actually hit the American markets and we're able to track these inflows on a daily basis. That's when I think these prices get really exciting. And when you think about what Charles Schwab CEO did there, he started his marketing campaign for digital assets. We are going to see every mainstream media outlet that you can imagine, CNN, MSNBC, Fox Business, you name the program, they are going to be preaching pro-crypto narratives at the top of this market. And that will be one of many, many signals for our community that we should be taking profit and we should be exiting at least a little bit to put some money to the sidelines and accumulate these assets at lower prices. Another thing newer investors need to understand about these bull markets, Typically, we hit market euphoria, and you know what happens? We crash, and we come back to a lot of these initial ranges. Now, a lot of people will make the debate, and there's a valid discussion to be had about this, guys. Is something different happening this time? Is this a different cycle than we have ever experienced before? And there's certain catalysts that we can point to that lead me to believe, yeah, it is different. And it's fairly obvious that it is something at least different from 2021 and definitely different from 2017. Regulating these assets, endorsement from Wall Street companies, and spot products, as well as financial products in general that allow these large companies to profit off the evolution of digital assets. For the first time ever, companies like BlackRock have a vested interest in the success of Bitcoin. And when they offer these spot products, like I showed you at the beginning of the episode, for XRP, Solana, Ethereum, Litecoin, Doge, HBAR, Cardano, even the projects that I don't believe in, I would never buy Litecoin, right? I would never buy Polkadot. These are projects, they have 4 filings, 5 filings set to hit the American markets. That is going to create inflows for these coins. So congratulations to the Litecoin investors out there. There's going to be 5 products in the American markets creating new demand for the underlying asset. Who am I to complain? If people want to buy their asset, if people like Litecoin more than XRP, more power to them. Do I think they're correct? No. But this is the same way that Bitcoin investors kind of look at the XRP community today. Obviously, it's very different because XRP does so much more than Litecoin. But who am I to decide what assets people should be interested in and what assets people should stay away from? One of the reasons that XRP has been so profitable and exciting is because people have been naturally excited about XRP. They believe in the team. They believe in the narratives. They're watching the acquisitions. And now we've got this major narrative that we're going to be highlighting here in the ETFs, which will allow us to experience that price action we've been waiting for. Whether you're betting on a $4 XRP, a $5 XRP, or a $1,000 XRP, everybody wants this number to go up. And I am one of those many people who's just like you guys, been here for an extremely long time. And quite frankly, I think a lot of this positive price action is long overdue. I also sit here, just like you guys do, surprised that XRP is still trading below $2.50 towards the back end of 2025. I remember when I initially entered this market, and I'm going to tell a very short story and get back into the articles here. I remember when I initially entered this market back in 2019, everybody on XRP Twitter, because it wasn't X yet, it was Twitter, was screaming $5 this bull run, $5 at a minimum, $5 next couple of months. I should have, if I told people 6 years later we wouldn't be half that value, they would have said I'm an idiot. So again, sometimes the most ironic outcome is the most likely. And I think what's going to happen here for the XRP community is that when retail investors are totally checked out, when they feel like things are over, when they feel like it's not going to occur, that's when these major inflows will be turned on. And that's when the regular retail investor, which is not you guys, it's not the people who show up, study this market every day. It's the people who don't study this market every day, right? Those are the people who should be concerned. But we're going to talk about some security risks that are actually happening in the market as well, because earlier this week, there was a major story that got attention where somebody lost their entire retirement portfolio by getting their hot wallet hacked. One's in chat if you saw that story. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a breakdown on that later on in the episode, showing you guys that this is something everyone needs to be aware of. Anybody can lose their digital assets if they don't act accordingly and set themselves up for success. And that's why I always talk about the narratives we do, protecting your portfolio and understanding what you hold. But as for BlackRock, as I brought them up, I saw this pretty interesting piece of data this morning. BlackRock had just bought another 1,884 Bitcoin, now holding 803,000 Bitcoin in total. We are going to see BlackRock surpass Satoshi when it comes to total Bitcoin in their wallet. You heard that here first. Satoshi has about 1 million units of Bitcoin. My estimate at this rate, BlackRock is set to pass that sometime in 2026. So do not be surprised at all if we see a market that just becomes more and more centralized by these major products. Someone said fake news. Absolutely, guys. It's fake news. And we always call out the fake news. But we got 2,500 live listeners here joining us. If you're excited, you're enjoying this content, smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. We already passed 335 likes on the episode. Just want to give a massive thank you to anybody who shows up, supports the show, even if you don't hit the like button. If you're just here watching, engaging, we appreciate all of you as well. Now, quick detail here. Earlier in the week, we reported, and it was just yesterday I showed you guys, the Federal Reserve came out with a major announcement that they are looking into payment accounts that would grant crypto and fintech companies access to the Fed payment rails. And I did a good breakdown last night, what I considered a good breakdown in that short form content. So for anybody who hasn't seen that, go and check out the video I posted last night where I highlight all the exciting things that are happening for Ripple here with the federal approval, the master accounts, the stable coins. Well, here's some more exciting news in regards to Ripple. Just a quick reminder, Ripple sits on the Federal Reserve's Faster Payments Task Force Steering Committee and co-chairs the Web3 Payments Working Group. So Ripple has been actively working with the biggest, most powerful names in America for a very, very long time. And I love what people have to say about where Ripple has kind of positioned themselves during the Trump administration. It's not just about what Ripple's doing for the blockchain in XRP. It's about what Ripple is doing to shape American politics today. And let me explain this. Once again, there are key executives in Washington, D.C. this morning. Crypto leaders descend on Capitol Hill for the market structure talk. This is an update out of Crypto in America, aka Eleanor Terrett, who I believe is the best crypto reporter out there right now. So shout out to Ellie. She does phenomenal work. But at 11:30 today, Senator Kristen Gillibrand will convene around a roundtable of Senator Democrats. Now, you're going to have Minority Leader Chuck Schumer there. You're going to have Cory Booker there. A lot of people will recognize the names on this list. Well, here's another name that you're going to recognize. In the room as well will be 10 industry executives. Now, you have Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong. You have Mike Novogratz. You have Chainlink CEO Sergio there. Uniswap is there. Circle is there. And of course, Ripple's chief legal officer, Stuart Alderati, will also be in the room attending the event. We also have A16 attending, guys. So very important. Watch what AVAX does over these next few years. People don't talk about AVAX enough. Maybe I don't talk about AVAX enough. When you really look at where this market is headed, A16Z is another company working very closely with the United States government. So keep an eye on AVAX over these next couple of years. And I'll throw these winners out there and then dive into the article. If you really want to expand beyond XRP, because we all believe in XRP, but there's going to be plenty of ecosystems that evolve and win. My belief is it's Chainlink, it's AVAX, it's HBAR, and of course, Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to get that free pass. It will also be here to stay. But the goal of the roundtable is to mend fences and restart dialogue among members who were angered by much of the industry over the past 2 weeks, when a leaked proposal from Democrat staffers to their Republican counterparts on regulated decentralized finance revealed just how far apart these two sides remain on what is arguably the trickiest part of an already intricate bill. Negotiations subsequently broke down, with Republicans refusing to continue discussions unless Democrats agreed to set a markup date. And the Democrats insisted they needed more time to provide input and make a bill for a bipartisan product. Aides on both sides of the aisle told Crypto in America they hope that the roundtables will spur a reset of talks and foster a new spirit of dialogue with the industry on DeFi. So what do we really have here? We have crypto becoming a political issue. And maybe it's been that way since the election cycle when Trump became pro-crypto and Kamala kind of wouldn't make those pro-crypto statements. I think somebody said, I miss the Good Morning Warriors. Good morning, Warriors. Shout out to you in chat. But what's really happening here, guys, is we're seeing crypto become politicized. And Brad Garlinghouse spoke out against this time and time again. In the end, the pro-crypto candidates are the ones who will be proven correct. They can delay this regulation. They can down-talk the industry. But they had 4 years to kick us out of the country, and they just simply couldn't do it. They sued Ripple. They came after exchanges. They attacked smaller projects. They allowed NFTs to go mainstream. They shut down what Ripple was doing. They gave Ethereum a free pass while they wouldn't give other industry leaders that same type of clarity. So there was games being played over the past half decade. They're not going to be able to shut down crypto in America. And as long as we have a Republican leader in Donald Trump who is going to be pro-crypto, nothing changes on that front. We have a pro-crypto United States president for the first time in history. And my belief is after the midterms, because we're going to have to start switching to the midterms starting in January of 2026. That's only about 4 months away, guys. We're going to be talking about midterms and how important that is for the future of crypto here inside the United States. So couple of big highlights. I'd love to hear, are you excited? Someone said AI abs. Absolutely not. This is real abs. I don't know if there's an AI abs yet, but I was thinking about this the other day, guys. I've done over, I think, 1,900 hours of live streaming since 2022. If somebody who had the AI capabilities ever decided to do that, I'd be a big victim. I don't know how I would protect myself from AI abs, guys. I got to be totally transparent. But once again, if you're enjoying this content, smash that like button. It really does help us out. We're going to show you guys a statement, once again, from the Federal Reserve yesterday and kind of expand on this. Fed Governor Waller says Bitcoin and crypto are now woven into the fabric of the financial system. really emphasize that, guys. Really think about how important this is. The Federal Reserve, the US government, and Wall Street companies, which were all anti-crypto just 2 years ago, are now all pro-crypto. And they're all acknowledging just how important crypto is. Now, the live chat, you guys are making me laugh. Somebody requested a China, but we'll give you guys that China statement later. Here's Fed Governor Waller saying Bitcoin and crypto are now woven into the fabric of the new financial system.
This is an acknowledgement that distributed ledgers and crypto assets are no longer on the fringes, but are increasingly woven into the fabric of the payment and financial system. Now, before we hear from these innovators, I would like to touch on roles that the Federal Reserve plays to support the private sector. These include serving as a convener to solve coordination problems and operating core payment and settlement infrastructure. We are also looking ahead, conducting hands-on research on tokenization, using smart contracts, and the intersection of AI and payments for use in our own payment systems. We do this to understand the innovation happening within the payment system, as well as to evaluate whether these technologies could provide opportunities to upgrade our own payment infrastructures and to enable us to have deeper conversations with the industry on these new technologies. This is an acknowledgement that
There you have it, guys. So think about this as well. I did a brief breakdown on this. Every single facet that we were talking about in 2021, meaning the government regulating this market, Wall Street endorsing digital assets, the Federal Reserve tapping blockchain to provide an instant settlement system, all of it is happening right now. None of this is really speculation anymore. All of us are getting confirmation from the most powerful players in this market that we really need to double down on. Everybody has capitulated. Somebody said they bent the knee in chat. That is the perfect analogy. The US government, the Federal Reserve, Wall Street companies, they all bent the knee to what we've been saying for a very long time, which is that crypto will be the most profitable industry of this century. Now, I want to address this comment here. Isaac Can Do Live in chat said, dumping 50 million XRP is not good. Don't fall for that hype. I've been very transparent about that, and I've made sure to cover that on this channel time and time again. Chris Larson did not dump 50 million XRP into the open market. Now, I showed you guys this yesterday, but because we got that comment, there must be some people out there who still don't really know what happened here. So I want to provide that clarity of mind. Chris Larson, and this got nearly 800,000 views in 2 days. Chris Larson just offloaded 50 million XRP, over $120 million in just the past hour. Still buying the hype? Chris Larson's cashing out while you're holding the bag. So I'm sure Isaac probably saw something along the lines of that going around on social media. Well, let me provide a little bit of clarity for you, Isaac, because it's important, guys. And shout out to him for asking the important question. We appreciate you being in our chat right now. Chris Larson did not dump 50 million XRP. He didn't go to Coinbase and turn this into US dollars. What Chris Larson did was something much more exciting. And I actually had the tweet prepped here, but it appears that I don't have it pulled up. So bear with me, guys, while I pull this up. Chris Larson moved 50 million tokens over to Evernorth. And this is a commitment that he made because he believes in XRP. What's really happening here with this new project? Well, we are going to see more DeFi opportunities be presented to people who want to earn on their XRP bag without holding the asset and lending it out themselves. Chris Larson is essentially helping this company, which is going to be advised by Brad Garlinghouse, by David Schwartz, some of his closest friends. He's going to be helping them get their funds started here. And so they're going out, they're raising money. This company is set to go public in the next year or so. But I think that somebody probably came in with a good response underneath. I apologize for not having that pulled up. James Rule commented, "You're a dumbass." Said Chris Larson is investing in Evernorth. Now, I removed the dumbass part. This guy is probably not a dumbass, probably a very smart guy, but he might just be misleading people. And MetaMan, this is a great comment. He said, quite misleading. He invested $50 million, 50 million units of XRP into Evernorth. And here's the tweet from Chris Larson that I was looking for. He congratulated Evernorth and their team on launching, and Evernorth fills the missing link in today for XRP in capital markets and XRP usage in DeFi products. I am proud to invest 50 million XRP into the firm, and you may see some wallet movement on this. So Chris Larson literally let us know and said, get ready for me to move my wallet. That's exactly what this was. So don't fall for the misleading headlines. Stay with the middle ground. Stay focused on what's important. And once again, Chris Larson selling his XRP does not change anything for people like us, right? So said you can tell Abs is an angel. We reacted to the word dumbass. Definitely not an angel, guys. Definitely a flawed individual over here as well. But Chris Larson told us that he was going to be investing 50 million XRP into this fund, and people still use this as a way to twist the news and make people doubt what's really happening. So again, goes to show a couple of things. First of all, Chris Larson believes in Evernorth. That's most important. David Schwartz is going to be working to make this project successful. That is extremely important. But Chris Larson didn't even sell this. He invested it into an XRP ecosystem. Now, what's the second part of this whole narrative that I think our listeners should be aware of? Even if Chris Larson, hypothetically, sold $120 million worth of XRP, which he didn't, but let's say he did, that doesn't change anything for me. Chris Larson has been holding these tokens for over a decade. If the guy wants to take $120 million worth of profit on a portfolio that's now worth $6, $7, $8 billion, I mean, that's less than like 1% of the entire portfolio. So really put that into consideration. Sometimes these are big numbers, but what's actually happening here is not what it appears to be. Chris Larson is more than entitled to take a little bit of profit. And we've seen him do that time and time again. Like, remember, he was selling XRP back in 2018 after it had pumped to all-time highs, but he didn't catch the pump. He didn't even capitalize on a $3 XRP back in 2018. He began taking profit just above $1. So this guy, he doesn't have all the answers. He doesn't have a crystal ball, but what he does have is a ton of XRP, and he's more than willing and more than capable enough to take a little bit of profit in the crypto space today. Now, we do have 3,500 listeners, over 1,300 watching on YouTube, guys. Just want to give a huge shout out and thank you to everybody who's following the new channel. We already passed over 500 likes on the episode. Actually, we're at 485 likes. Big thank you and shout out. Now, Dennis commented, "We are a Federal Reserve subcontractor. Ripple is the US government." So that must be a link to an article that I'm not privy to, but we do have some other comments here. I'm just going to hit these live chats really quick. We just got a couple. Amplify and Rex Osprey XRP ETFs are 1940 Ax ETSs designed to buy Evernorth. Evernorth can only buy XRP in the open market exchange orders, which is a good strategy. So again, shout out to Dennis for the great research. This is just going to create more demand. That's really all it's doing here. And I think that Dennis did a great job of kind of highlighting that. Richard with the $10. Big thank you. Thank you for the $5, Dennis. Much appreciated, my friend. Richard said, "Abs, get Eric Trump on GEC. I know he watches your show." He definitely follows my Twitter. I don't know if he watches my show. He's a busy man. But big thank you to Richard for the $10 as well. Someone else commented, "Abs, are BTC and XRP working toward the same end game?" No, they're not working towards the same end game. Now, I've explained this a lot, so I'll just keep it really short for people who have heard me explain this before. XRP is working to bring TradFi into the 21st century. Bitcoin is building a completely separate system. Now, Bitcoin's whole narrative in the beginning was we're anti-bank. We're going to create a stable reserve asset. We're going to separate ourselves from the banking system. Over these last 2 years or so, it's turned into a kumbaya from BlackRock, where everybody is talking about how everyone should own Bitcoin. It's a digital gold. It's not a digital gold. It's a store of value. It's something completely different from what gold is offering. And we witnessed that over the past week or so, where we saw gold perform extremely well while Bitcoin traded down and sideways. And then yesterday we had gold begin to drop and we saw Bitcoin accumulating in value. So no, Bitcoin and XRP are not built to do the same thing, but we are so far away from watching these technologies become what they're actually built to be. Like, when the XRPL ecosystem is robust and people are using it all the time, every day for utility, instead of just speculating on the price, that's going to take another 3, 4, 5 years. So I think that this game is still, we're like, if this is a baseball game, which nobody watches baseball, let's use football. We're like, this is like the second quarter, but we're only a couple minutes in. Like, we just started the second quarter of this game. By the end of the Trump administration, we'll be right around halftime. We'll probably have just come out of halftime, to use the football analogy for anybody who watches the NFL. Shout out to the New England Patriots and shout out to Drake May. If you know, my friends. But I wanted to also highlight something that David Schwartz said in regards to Evernorth, just in case you missed it, because people missed that Chris Larson update. Here's what David Schwartz said about Evernorth. "XRP community, I promised I'd have an update on my next adventure soon, right? Well, here's the start. I'll be a strategic advisor at Evernorth, helping my friend Ash go blue," which of course is Ashish Birla. Evernorth was co-founded Evernorth was founded as a regulated, scalable investment vehicle to tap into opportunities for XRP and DeFi and capital markets. And this is extending the entire XRP ecosystem. I am excited to get started. So now David Schwartz is going to be directly working to create DeFi opportunities at the Evernorth company. Listen, not a financial advisor, not financial advice. I never talk about stocks. I'm going to get some exposure to this one. This is going to be a really exciting opportunity. Not only are we going to get exposure to XRP, so if the price of XRP appreciates, our shares should as well. They're also going to be creating a yield and giving out dividends on this stock. I am super excited about this one. I got to tell you guys, and we're 30 minutes into the show. I had a major announcement I wanted to kind of share with you guys. I gave a little bit of insight yesterday. Tomorrow morning, I will be on the Paul Barron podcast. We're going to be collaborating again. That'll be our second collaboration. So I'm really excited about that, kind of talking to Paul once again. And a big thank you to him for having me on. He did ask me to come on at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So that's obviously when I do these live streams. I'm going to talk to him behind the scenes. He just asked me this morning. So I'll see if we can figure out kind of like a middle ground there. But if there is no show tomorrow, if there's no live stream in particular, it's because I'm on the Paul Barron podcast. So someone said no show tomorrow. I'm working to give you guys a show, but I asked for the 10 a.m. time. I don't think it's available. So if I have to do the 11 a.m. time, there will be no show tomorrow. So I apologize about that, guys. You will still be getting your 5:30 p.m. update. But I think what's great about that is I'm going to have that collaboration with Paul Barron, and I think a lot of people will be excited about that. Someone said, have him live stream it. That would be pretty cool, but he does do it pre-recorded. So he pre-records it, he edits it, and then he kind of publishes them, I believe, 24 hours later. I'm really excited, guys. Last time, we had a great conversation. We talked about Amazon. We talked about regulation. We talked about ETFs. I'm really excited about this one. I'm sure Paul's got some really cool stuff planned, and we're going to have a great conversation. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Give you a little bit of insight into why there may not be a show tomorrow, just in case, we have to miss an episode. But in regards to the XRP FUD, getting back into our articles for today, this is an important tweet that I found relevant, right? I think a lot of our listeners will appreciate kind of what's being said here. And as we know, there's a lot of FUD. There's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt intentionally put into this market to scare retail investors out. And this is a primary example of that, right? Like this guy, he's a market watcher, right? He's a community analyst at CryptoQuant.com, quoted by CNBC and Bloomberg, right? There's your game plan right there. So this guy probably knew that Chris Larson didn't sell his XRP, but he's engagement farming. And he's putting out headlines that, yeah, maybe they aren't true, but they're going to get him a lot of attention. That's something we have to be very careful of in the crypto space, especially when it's negative news about XRP. But here's what John Weiser had to say, or I can't pronounce his name. Here's what he had to say in regards to XRP FUD. And Jake Claver retweeted this. Thought it was very valuable to kind of share with you guys. People like to spread FUD about XRP and say it's too centralized, it's too corporate, Ripple holds too many tokens, and etc. The list goes on. But XRP isn't trying to replace the financial system from outside. It's plugging into the infrastructure that already exists and making it better. And that goes back to that initial comment where somebody said, are Bitcoin and XRP doing different things? XRP is working to upgrade global finance. Bitcoin is creating an entirely new system. So keep that in mind. People can hate that approach philosophically, but the XRP ledger is the blockchain that gets actual banks to move real money at scale. Ripple's network moved something like $70 billion in payments last year, while Japan's SBI bank run millions of dollars of transactions onto it. Dubai is now using the XRP ledger for tokenized assets. And he said none of that's sexy. I disagree, guys. I think that's pretty exciting. None of it happens without working with regulators and existing institutions. So whether you're betting on the cypherpunk vision, winning outright, or you're betting on that the future looks more like an upgraded legacy rails than anarchy, XRP makes a lot of sense if you take the time to think about it. And I completely agree, guys. We have to be very self-aware. There are people who are rooting for XRP to fail, and they're going to put those statements out on social media time and time again. But my belief is, in the end, we win. It's the people who sit on their hands. They hold this asset for 5-10 years. You are the ones who are going to profit and come out on the other side. And the data really tells us that. I mean, what's happened over these past few years, guys, we've watched the digital asset space go from a speculative market of outcasts and nefarious criminals, as they like to call us during the Biden administration, to a legitimate industry that's going to be working with the most powerful companies on the planet. And in doing so, that means you hold a very valuable asset, right? And people are going to be coming for that asset. whether it's the Coinbase phishing scams, whether it's the fake Brad Garlinghouse videos, whether it's the people on Twitter telling you, send me 50 XRP and I'll send you 100 in return. These are the things that we have to stay away from. If somebody reaches out to you and says, your Coinbase just sent a transaction, don't even reply to the text message. There are so many fake messages out there trying to steal people's XRP. So much so that David Schwartz even said this. There's a huge increase in phishing emails claiming a hardware wallet security upgrade or a verification process. Ignore any such messages you receive unless you can independently confirm them, and never enter a hardware wallet seed phrase into anything other than the hardware wallet. This is the best thing you can do, guys. Inaction is the best form of action. Get your assets onto a ledger, get your assets into a trusted mechanism, whether you're using a custodian, and leave them alone. Don't try to do too much. Don't try to move your assets. Don't answer an email saying, I'm going to upgrade my ledger through this unregistered email that I received. Don't fall for the scams. Just be very simple, be very logical, get your assets on the ledger. Nothing needs to be moved until it's time to sell those digital assets or you're borrowing against them. And if you're doing either of those things, maybe the best thing to do is sign up for a product like ITrust, as we offer every day. And guys, if you haven't signed up for ITrust, using our link down below, using the promo code GEC9, you are going to get a free $100 sign-up bonus that will not work against your initial investment. So if you click the link below, you have an opportunity to turn your IRA into a crypto investment vehicle tax-free until you're 59. So this is pretty exciting stuff, and that's why I partnered with them. This is a product that I also use and I'm taking advantage of during this bull market. So if you want to just copy some of the stuff that we're doing here, me and Johnny Krypto, we use Merlin and we use ITrust. And those are the only two products that you're going to hear me talk about here on the Good Evening Crypto channel. But I did want to address some of the super chats as well. Ghost commented, big thank you for the $2. Abs, is XRP the bridge asset for BRICS and global central bank digital currencies? Again, I don't have much more foresight than the people who have done their research as well. So this is totally an opinion. But my belief is that XRP, although it's a bridge asset, although it's going to be a decentralized asset, it's an American company. And I don't think there's a lot of benefit here to helping BRICS nations expand their economic reach through the XRP token. So I think XRP will end up benefiting the American economy and American products more than it will do for the BRICS nations. Hopefully that kind of provides an answer to your question. Big thank you for the $2. Another thank you for the $5 at a Silver Fox Rabbit 1393. I know we're talking about XRP, but would love to hear your thoughts on the Jasmy coin. Now, I'm pretty sure that's a meme coin on the XRP ledger. I'm very basic with my crypto portfolio, guys. Back in 2021, I was buying NFTs. I didn't buy meme coins, but I was buying more speculative projects. I keep it very simple now. I stay with like a big 5, 6, 7 tokens: Bitcoin, XRP, Chainlink, AVAX, HBAR, Stellar. I could name about 5 or 6 more. So maybe it's more like 11, 10 tokens, but I really just stick with those core 5, 6, 7, and then put 1 to 2% into those last 5 or 6. So I don't hold Jasmy. I don't have a lot of thoughts about it. Maybe I need to do my research, but a big thank you for the $5 and a huge shout out. If Johnny was here, I'd put the pressure on him. I'd say, hey, answer that Jasmy question. I also want to give a big thank you to Charles for the $10 donation. Get Abs and Johnny at Ripple Swell. I know, guys, I don't know if anybody follows my Twitter. This is pretty funny. I don't know if anybody follows my Twitter, but I'm going to pull this up really quick. I did ask to attend Ripple Swell event. So I thought that was pretty cool. I filed the forms. I sent my request in, and of course, they denied my request. So I was not accepted to go to Ripple Swell. I would have loved to give you guys some insight and some live coverage from the event, but I wasn't able to attend. So if you want to help me out, head on over to my Twitter, go to the post where I kind of comment that, and tag Twitter underneath the video. But I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to every single person who donated. If you enjoyed this stream, smash that like button. We already passed 600 likes on the show, and we got 4,000 live listeners here joining us. I also want to call out this great comment. This guy said, this could be a crazy year. Is a supply shock bound to happen? $1 billion worth of XRP will be purchased through retail. 18 or more ETFs are waiting for approval. Is there anything else I'm missing? The Clarity Act, stable coins, the tokenization of real world assets, and the fact that Wall Street is going to be marketing this technology to millions of people all across the country. So with that being said, we love you guys. We appreciate you all. Let's see if Jasmy is not a meme coin. It's actually big stuff. So again, I got to do my research. $5. I apologize for that $5. I'm going to do my research to kind of give you guys an update. But I want to give a massive thank you. If you enjoyed this stream, smash that like button once again. We'll be back 5:30 p.m. Eastern time today for another update for you guys. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you all in the next one.
I'm going to be so proud of you, President, and I don't care about that. But you are going to be so proud of your country because we're going to turn it around and we're going to start winning again. We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more.
So if you're looking to do the same strategies that we implement here on Good Evening Crypto, I would advise everybody sign up for Merlin and click on the ITrust Capital link below. Now, why did these two ideas play off one another? Merlin is going to allow our listeners to understand where they should be taking profit in this market. And ITrust is going to allow our listeners to take that profit tax-free through an IRA product. Now, that's not the best part about this. We are giving new clients a $100 sign-up bonus using the promo code GEC9. So I would encourage everybody, click on the link below the video, use promo code GEC9, and set yourself up for success during this crypto